You're listening to the Vikes Verified podcast.
Hello, Vikings Nation. We are back in the booth out here in Stillwater, Minnesota. Vikings are sitting at 5-0. We are in Cub Studios, presented by Pull Tab Sports. The Minnesota Vikings continue their roll into the bye. Here we sit at 5-0. I can't believe it. You can't believe it. I think a majority of the fan base can't believe it. But the Vikings come out and get another one. Wasn't as clean as maybe the first four, but they still take a W 23-17 in likely our last matchup with Aaron Rodgers ever. He made some good throws in this game. He also threw 3 picks. Initial reaction to the game, Matt. We had an interesting viewing experience that we can dig into after this. But what a win regardless. We'll take them any way we can get them.
Yeah, nothing better than waking up on a Sunday morning and having football on, mixing in a couple mimosas, Bloody Marys, whatever your drink of choice may have been. But electric atmosphere. We came out with the win, going into the bye undefeated. Cannot understate how big of a feat that is really for this team. And if you would have asked a majority of fans if we'd be 5-0 after 5 weeks, I think most people would say no outside of Nick Swardson. So shout out to Swardsy for putting everything out on the table, and so far he's correct.
Yeah, they called him crazy. Remember that?
Right. But again, yeah, just a whirlwind lately, 5-0 going into the bye. Things could not be better in Vikings Nation, and overall, it was very fun watching it yesterday. Definitely wasn't probably our worst game of the season, I would say, especially offensively. Sam and a couple other guys just didn't really, have that strong of a game, but that just goes to show you that this team can win games in multiple ways, and we relied on our defense and special teams, and they were able to get it done. So shout out to Brian Flores and that defense for holding it down, and for Will the Thrill for hitting 3 big-time kicks in London.
Yeah, how clutch is he? It feels great to watch number 16 run out onto the field. I just feel confident every time he steps out there, and he goes to London, and he has another big day. He's 9 for 9 on the season on field goals, so you got to love that. How can we not talk about Andrew Van Ginkel, AVG, a.k.a. the logo, first player, the gangster. Aaron Rodgers got ginked in this game. First player in NFL history to have 3+ sacks and multiple pick sixes through the first 5 games of a season. Think about that. He is an edge rusher, 2 pick sixes. Aaron Rodgers was quoted saying, "Christmas came early. He gave Andrew Van Ginkel a gift." Either way, whether it was a gift or not, we'll take it. Absolutely. Something about the way he runs with the football, too. The guy looks like a natural. You can't tell me there wasn't a chance he was playing some running back in high school down there in Rock Valley, Iowa, because Van Ginkel looks like a natural with the ball in his hands, and he continues to make plays and probably be, the most underrated signing that the Vikings had this offseason. You lose an elite guy in Danielle Hunter. You reload with Jonathan Grenard and Van Ginkel. Van Ginkel, we just spoke about his greatness. Jonathan Grenard is second in the league in total pressures, getting after the quarterback. People are starting to take notice of number 58 and the damage he's doing to opposing offensive tackles.
Yeah, I mean, it's been super impressive what he's been able to do with his pressures, but also his fits in the run game. He's been an overall solid addition to this defense. But, yeah, the gangster, man, he's got to be in the race for Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, to me, he's just off to a crazy start when you have this. Yesterday was a great example of great coaching. If you watch the playback, actually, you can see that the Vikings had a way to signal how they were running inside slants and for AVG to know that and step back out of that blitz. So if you actually watch that playback, you'll see the center bump to his side. I think this was something that Flores had keyed out to them, saying if you see the center bump to your side on a play that you're supposed to blitz, back out because there's a slant coming right behind you. Yep. And you see AVG do exact that. Takes a step in to get Rodgers to bite, then jumps back, takes the ball, and the rest is history. He's in the end zone for 6. So that just goes to show how well this team is being coached and how well the players are picking up on that, as Van Ginkel's done this twice and almost a third time. So just insane what he's been able to do. His versatility is something that's truly unique, and is just a perfect fit in this Brian Flores defense, and you're seeing the rewards of his abilities.
Yeah, the intricacies of the game like that, Matt, those are the things that really fire you up. And Aaron Rodgers in the past been so good at diagnosing disguised defenders, calling people out on the line of scrimmage, saying, you're blitzing or you're not coming. He's been so good. He's seen about every defensive front in his time, and to be able to, throw him off and get him to throw that ball right to Van Ginkel, excellent play from Van Ginkel, but not only him, the defensive coordinator as well, getting that teed up for him. I want to talk a little bit about Stephon Gilmore in this game. Guy that, I was thinking maybe was getting picked on a little bit early in this game. They're throwing his way a lot. Wasn't making a ton of open field tackles. Didn't seem very aggressive, but I'll tell you what about Stephon Gilmore. This guy is a closer. Everywhere he's gone in the NFL, he's been closing games like this. Great stat came out today. He has now picked off the big three: Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and now Aaron Rodgers in his career. Something to definitely hang your hat on. But I feel confident having Gilmore because he's done it in the clutch. He knows what that feels like. And for him to come up with a game-winning INT like that, I feel like that's a piece of this team that maybe we've been missing the last few years. That lockdown corner that can put a game away with a big play like that. So shout out to Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah, I mean, a blast seeing him still play at a high level at this age. Like you had mentioned, picking off those 3 QBs is no small feat. So just goes to show how long he's been doing it and how high of a level he's been playing at for this long. And for him to be able to go and really secure us that win at the end of the game was massive. There's another veteran in our secondary that I think, is just another Hall of Famer, and that's Harrison Smith. Harrison Smith and Aaron Rodgers have been going at it for over a decade. They show a ton of respect to each other. Even leading up to the game this week, they both gave each other their flowers. There's no denying the respect that these two have. But Harrison getting that sack on Rodgers and hitting the discount double check, which was an elite celebration, is definitely going to be something that he does not let Rodgers hear the end of. So shout out to Harrison for getting that sack and getting the last laugh in London, as this could very well be their last matchup that we see on the gridiron.
Yeah, it's cool to see guys that played against each other that long, having a matchup like that, them realizing how long they've been doing it, and Harrison just coming unblocked off the edge, and Aaron just knew it immediately.
Nothing he could do
after it was over. Great to see. Let's touch a little bit offensively here, Matt. A game where the offense wasn't really clicking, to be blatantly honest. I thought Darnold was marginally off all day. I want to touch on why that might have been, but first and foremost, Aaron Jones leaves the game with a hip injury, and it seemed like our rushing attack was completely belly up after his exit. Ty Chandler, I'm not going to put it totally on him, but it starts to make me think, if Aaron Jones isn't available, do we need another option there? And the first thing that comes to mind is Cam Akers, and how did that fall through? He's playing some good football down in Houston, but this game proved how pivotal Aaron Jones is to our rushing attack. A guy who got off to a hot start too, so good at getting downhill, moving the chains. He was already up to 24 receiving yards as well. It was looking like a big day for him in London, and all of a sudden he leaves the game. We can't run the football. Seems like we're taking a ton of shots downfield and not taking some of the easy throws just to move the chains. Does it worry you at all with Aaron Jones and this injury? Or do you think it's nothing serious and he should be back after the bye?
I'm worried slightly. The only reason is that I just don't know if it's a product of the Jets just having one of the better defenses, or if it's more the offense, somewhat changing their dynamic when they lose a guy in Aaron Jones. When Jones went down, it felt like the Jets really loaded the box and played a lot of press coverage and forced Sam Darnold to have to beat them through the air. And he, unfortunately somewhat struggled to do that. There was a lot of PI calls that did help us out, got us down the field. But those Jets corners were sticky on our wide receivers. They were definitely giving us the best matchup this season that they've had so far. And you could just see the difference. Ty Chandler's a great running back, but you could see the confidence change and the offense go a little bit sideways when Jones went down and they started to get stuffed on some of those early runs. We just kind of fell back into that predictable offense and lost that rhythm that we've had all year of just really being able to be good on first and second down and pick up clutch third downs. We've killed that throughout the first month, and yesterday I felt like was the first day that we really weren't solid in that area.
100%. And for Sam Darnold, took a shot in the ribs early in this game. A lot of people speculating, could this be a reason that he was a little bit off, missing some of these downfield throws? Who are we to say? We don't know at this point. We'll probably find out more on that in the next couple days. But as for Darnold, I got a chance to watch a little bit of film earlier today, Matt, and watching some of these downfield shots he threw. I mean, Justin Jefferson had 14 targets in this game. He's almost over 100 yards. I believe he finished with 92. But still, like, a very frustrating day for Justin Jefferson and the timing between him and Darnold. There was a ton of downfield opportunities that they just didn't quite click on. Addison had a really deep crosser. Darnold landed, bounced it to him about 5 yards short. Seemed like the downfield accuracy wasn't quite there. And there was also opportunity for Johnny Munt, Jalen Nailor, a lot of these guys running underneath routes where, he could have easily just checked it down, taken, 6-7 yards, maybe even a little bit of run after the catch to get a first down. But, it seemed like he was going for the kill shot constantly. He wanted that deep ball. And obviously we did get the pass interference penalties. It felt like at one point in the game, our best plays were pass interference penalties in terms of moving the chains. And that is a product of DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner. Those guys are great corners. The best we've seen so far, and maybe some of the best we'll see all year. So I was impressed with their performance. Justin Jefferson is the best in the world right now, and a lot of the time they were step for step with him. So it was frustrating for this offense. But my challenge, I guess, is how can you take the easy stuff and what's given to you? You see it a lot with Detroit right now and Jared Goff. He threw for almost 300 yards last week. I think 260 of those yards were after the catch. He's so good about checking the ball down in the flats and underneath, let your receivers make plays. I guess I would just like to see Sam do a little bit more of that and not try to push the ball so far downfield every time.
Yeah, Goff just finished, I believe, that last Monday night game, 18 of 18. So just a testament to just taking what's given and not trying to do too much. I will say I was impressed with Darnold's ability to just throw the ball away, right? It's like Kevin said, like a lot of these media members have said, just live to fight another day. We know that Darnold's had the kind of problem of trying to force too much, trying to be a hero, therefore, causing a lot more turnovers than are needed. So shout out to him for just being able to understand, hey, I'm not going to be able to make a play here. And even though it did, create somewhat of a stagnant offense, he at least didn't have 3-4 turnovers. These things are a lot easier to correct, especially with the fact that we're able to hang on to this game and get the win. So I think this offense is going to be able to sort some things out. And honestly, I think Sam not checking down just speaks to his confidence right now. If a QB's not really feeling it, a lot of times they're going to immediately go to that check down, just feel like, play a really safe game so that they're not making any headlines. To me, it felt like Sam was just, he's in a great spot mentally that he wants to take those shots. He trusts, it's hard not to trust a guy like Justin Jefferson to go up and get the ball. So I think it was just a mixture of the Jets having a better defense in general, probably top 5, top 10 in the league. And then him just being a little bit off balance in terms of taking what's given versus trusting your natural abilities.
Yeah, I agree. And on the defensive side of the ball, Ivan Pace Jr., what a treat it was to have him back. This guy is an absolute problem. He's like a dog on the leash. He's got so much energy. This guy, not drafted because of his size, but then you watch him play and you realize how much his size is actually an advantage. He is dipping and ripping under offensive linemen. He can meet any left or right guard in the hole, and move them. This guy is as strong as it gets and explosive as it gets at the middle linebacker position. If he can continue to refine the technique and play with a high IQ in the middle, I mean, the sky is the limit for this guy. It really does not get much more explosive than him. You saw him in the backfield on multiple occasions in this game, and he just adds an element of toughness and aggressiveness to our defense that not a lot of guys can. Dallas Turner looked nice as well. His highest PFF grade of his career, 76.9. Had a couple plays off the edge where he looked really explosive, really quick. Continued to get him repetition and continue to get him acclimated. We're going to need him for the back half of this season.
Yeah, I was impressed with Ivan Pace's return. That linebacker room has really flipped a 180 from last year. Obviously, Hicks was a great guy, but you're able to keep pace and then also add in Blake Cashman and Kamu, who was getting reps still yesterday, even with IP back. So speaks to the depth of this room. I think it's in a very good spot, and I trust all three of those guys to step in and make plays when called upon. Another guy that had a really solid game was Brian O'Neill. He played one of his best games in a Vikings jersey. He's just been solid. He's another one of those guys that, kind of like Harry, has just been here for a long time, never have questioned his skill or capability, and he's just a leader in the locker room. So another guy that I could see playing as a Viking throughout his whole career, and even after multiple years in the league, he's still putting up a very high numbers, and just very satisfied to see what he's doing because he's an anchor on this line between him and Darrisaw. Those bookends are taken care of. So shout out to O'Neill. But on the flip side, Ed Ingram, rough one. So he's been the guy that I've kind of had my eyes on. had a couple good games before that where it seemed like he was kind of, improving. This one kind of takes a step back now. I've been saying this and will continue to say this. When Dalton Risner comes back, I think that's going to be super interesting to watch in terms of, will we see a change of guard at the right guard position?
Will there be a changing of the guard at the guard position? That's a great question.
That's something that I think is that Vikings fans need to keep an eye on, because Risner became a fan favorite within weeks when he came to Minnesota. So I think if he's able to slide in there somehow, I don't know if he's going to ever give that job back. So here's to hoping that Ed Ingram can pick his game up and live up to that second round potential. But if not, we've got a guy in Risner who I feel pretty damn good about.
Yeah, me too. And it's definitely a conversation worth having. First step is just getting him back healthy and ready to compete. With that, we're going to move into our Duke Cannon studs and duds of the week. Duke Cannon, you're going to want to go get the big bourbon beard box for this winter. I know a lot of you guys are growing out your beard. You want something nice. You're going to be looking like ZZ Top if you pick up this big bourbon beard box. DukeCannon.com. Some of the best men's grooming products you're going to find on the market, and it's made right here in Minnesota. Go get you some today. And our first stud of the week, just touched on him, but Ivan Pace Jr., what a difference he makes for this defense when he comes back. One of my favorite players to watch, and one of the best values on the football field in terms of a contract, in terms of a draft position. Truly a hidden gem, diamond in the rough. Great to see him back. And my second one is going to be Ryan Wright, punter for the Minnesota Vikings. Guy who's been a little bit under the microscope after a sophomore slump season. Couldn't really get anything going. Wasn't really hitting those bombs like we saw his rookie year. I thought that he had a strong day in this one. I really did. His ability to pin, there's a couple plays on punt that, maybe our gunners, Caleb Evans, could have made some better plays on. But Ryan Wright looks to be back. He looks to be focused, and the leg power and accuracy is there.
Yeah, definitely bounce back season for Ryan. I'm going to spit out two at you here. I'm going to start out with the gangster. I mean, this guy, I don't know if there's been a week that he hasn't been a stud for us, but with the way he's playing, he's got to continue to stay on this list, so he is an easy addition. The next one would be a rookie, and that's Will the Thrill Reichard. Comes in, nails 3 field goals in London, apparently off just a few hours of sleep as well. So this guy's a grinder. He's clutch, and the team believes in him, so shout out to him. Easy stud of the week.
Absolutely. And Brian O'Neill, like we touched on, another stud of the week, and CJ Hammer time. How about them serving up some ham in London this week? He gets in the end zone. I've been pounding on the table for weeks, Matt, and there's been many times I've sat in the booth here with you calling for more CJ Ham touches. And for a guy that gets as many snaps as he does in our offense as a fullback, there's no reason you shouldn't give him the rock. And you saw what he could do, taking that one in from about 4 yards out. It was a great little run. If we're going to run into issues and Aaron Jones is banged up, there's multiple solutions, and the first solution is probably signing a back, but why not give CJ Ham some carries? For those of you that know, running back of the year at Augustana and the NSIC, this guy knows how to run the football. Might not have the breakaway speed of an NFL starting back, but I guarantee you he's got the toughness and the physicality to get it done for, 5 to 6 yards a pop. So shout out to CJ. Great to see him on the studs of the week list.
And 2 more studs plus a bonus stud of the week before we get to the duds. I'm going to have to give some more credit to Stephon Gilmore and Harrison Smith. 2 OGs holding it down in our secondary. Both make big-time plays in this game. And age is just a number, guys. These guys continue to put out high-level play at their age, and the way they do it and carry themselves is truly elite. So those 2 guys easily are studs of the week. My bonus stud of the week is Cam Bynum and Josh Metellus celebration after the interception. Pulled out the family trap celebration.
Parent trap
celebration in London. Shout out to those guys. Really paid homage to the London area and killed the celebration. So I had to have them on this list.
Absolutely, and you knew that something was going on when those 2 get together. Metellus and Bynum, they're always up to some antics.
What did I call that?
You said family trap.
Oh,
it's
man.
the parent trap.
Sheesh.
Come on, man.
Yeah,
I know you've seen that one, man. That's a classic. Yeah. And final 3 studs of the week. We got Harrison Phillips playing some of the best football of his career. Continue another sack in this game. He's rushing the passer at a very high level. He's stopping the run. Jonathan Grenard, we talked about his pressure on the quarterback. It's been apparent all season. And then Blake Cashman's going to make this studs of the week list because he played a stellar game, but he made one of the most incredible efforts on Aaron Rodgers. Full extension, almost horizontal to the ground, gets a hand on that ball and forces an incompletion. Who knows what would have happened with Rodgers there, but the effort from Cashman, you can tell he's just found a home here, and he looks the part there in the middle, number 51. That's a guy that I don't want to see leave this team because of the effort, the IQ, and just the ability to tackle in the open field. Shout out to Blake Cashman. He rounds off our studs of the week list. We're going to get into the duds of the week, Matt. We only got 4 this week. We never really want to call these guys out, but, got to be held accountable in this industry. I'm going to start with Ed Ingram. Like you said, it's not that Ed Ingram can't play at a high level. It's can Ed Ingram play at a decent level consistently. Consistency is the issue with Ed. He's got some reps on tape every week where you're like, whoa, this guy can move people. This guy's got footwork, athleticism. He's also got some reps where you're like, Ed, did you just take that play off or what's going on? But Ed is going to get duds of the week, low PFF grade. Hope to see him bounce back for sure. But like we said, Dalton Reisner gearing up in the stable. He might be due for an opportunity when he comes back. Second one is going to be a Caleb Evans. And Caleb Evans doesn't even get snaps on defense. I just thought, some of the plays on special teams this week, it's not necessarily his fault. He's getting shoved into the punt returner. That's a game plan thing from the Jets, and honestly a very effective one. But it just seems like at times, there's a lapse in focus, something there. And he's not a guy that you want to throw out on special teams. It's not really working out for him to crack into the defensive rotation right now, so he has to play special teams. But if you're going to do that, I guess you just want to see him take it a bit more seriously. Still got hope for him, though. Still got hope for him.
Yeah, and I'll wrap up the duds here. Ty Chandler makes this list. Had a chance to step in for Aaron Jones. Didn't do a whole lot. Really after he left the game, and then you put on top of that the fumble that he had. I mean, unfortunately, he does make this list, but I am not worried about Ty Chandler. I do think that is just a blip in the road for him. He will get back on track and should be back to his normal ways. Finally, the last one is Jalen Nailor. Again, this is more of a not in a direct shot at Nailor. He didn't get a chance to really make plays. But again, I expected him being the wide receiver 3 to being more involved and have a couple opportunities to make some plays and just didn't. So with him not really having any impact on the game, he makes this list as well. But all in all, those two I'm very confident about moving forward. Nick, while we get in here before the preview, I want to give our Cub Foods Captain of the Week. Yes. I will start us off here. I'm going to have to go with my guy Cam Bynum. It really was a movie out in London. He went out and killed it with the Parent Trap celebration. Yep. Him and Metellus, 10 out of 10 effort, and really you could see the practice that they put in before, and they did it on the main stage. So shout out to Bynum getting that pick and really putting on a show for the fans at home.
Yeah, Bynum is so underrated. That guy plays center field just about as good as anyone in the NFL. So lucky to have him, and I want to see an extension coming for him soon. My Cub Captain of the Week is going to be Stephon Gilmore for putting the game away in the fashion that he did. Low throw, goes down, hits the deck, secures the ball. Like I said, Gilly's been closing games everywhere he's been. Buffalo, New England, Carolina, Indianapolis, Dallas, and now Minnesota. He's a journeyman, but he's a journeyman that makes plays every single place he goes. And when he makes plays are in the clutch. So shout out to Stephon Gilmore. He's wearing the C this week as the Cub Captain of the Week.
Before we get into our preview of the upcoming games and an overall look at the division, the Vikes Verified podcast is sponsored by Drip Drop. We at Vikes Verified are huge fans of Drip Drop. No one likes being dehydrated, and over 75% of Americans are chronically dehydrated. Drip Drop offers the simplicity of quick hydration with less sugars and better taste than its competitors. It's used by athletes, military members, and many more. Drip Drop offers great hydration with putting their money in their product instead of sideline towels. Try Drip Drop after your next workout or sweaty summertime outing at Amazon, Target, or DripDrop.com. And don't forget to use code PULLTAB to get 20% off your next order at DripDrop.com.
You gotta love it. What a necessity to life. Carry Drip Drop with you. It's good for you. It's gonna make you feel better. No reason not to. Available pretty much everywhere or DripDrop.com. Moving into the division, Matt. NFC North, best division in football. I think everyone knows that at this point, with the Vikings sitting at 5-0, Lions 3-1, Chicago 3-2, and Green Bay 3-2. Every team has a winning record in this division. It's loaded with talent on every team. There's a lot of expectation down the stretch, but the Vikings lead the way as of now. So coming out of the bye with Detroit is going to be very interesting and going to be a very good benchmark for where this team is at. Detroit, after last season, thought of around the league as a Super Bowl contender. They've got one of the best offensive coordinators in the league. However, I believe we can expose their defense. But it's going to be great to see where this team is at headed out of the bye.
Yeah, if we look at this upcoming next 5 games here, we've got at home against Detroit, then a quick turnaround here at Los Angeles Rams, Thursday Night Football, Week 9 at home against Indy, and then Week 10 and 11 on the road against Jacksonville and Tennessee. If you had to give a prediction of these next 5 games right now, what would your prediction be?
Wins and loss?
Yep.
All 5. Okay.
All 5.
Starting with Detroit, I'm going to say the Minnesota Vikings take their first loss of the season.
Yep.
We rebound the following Thursday night, 6-1 after a win against the LA Rams. I think we come back home, take care of business against the Indianapolis Colts. We go down to Jacksonville, and we take care of business in Florida. And Week 11 in Tennessee. My gut feeling is, every blind squirrel finds a nut right now, right? And Will Levis has been the blind squirrel for this part of the season. I view that as a trap game. I've got the Vikings going 3-2 in this 5-game stretch, which would put us at 8-2.
Yeah, I tend to agree here in terms of overall record over these next 5. Detroit feels like the one that we're kind of going to give up. They're a great team, so that would not really deter my overall feelings on the Vikings. I'm more concerned about the next game in the Rams. Short week, on the road, primetime game. That one makes me nervous. That one screams a little bit of a trap game to me, but we are going to be there, in person, providing the energy. So that alone makes me, feel a little bit better about that game. But the next 3 against Indy, Jacksonville, and Tennessee, ideally we should be 3-0, but these do fall totally in the trap game category. This team is probably due for one of those games. So overall, I'm going to stick with my 3-2 over these next 5. But hey, 8-2. I mean, who would have thought?
I'd be more than happy at 8-2. As long as you just break the season up into 3-game increments is kind of my mentality. Can we go 2-1 or better in every 3-game increment of the season? I think it's a good way to break it up. But we've got challenges ahead of us. But on paper, Vikings' 3rd easiest schedule from here on out for the season. We are definitely through what is thought to be the hardest part of our schedule on paper. So moving forward, it's just about taking care of business and remaining consistent, and most importantly, staying healthy, keeping everyone on the field. Let's move into the bye week awards, Matt. We've got 5 bye week awards here. First 5 weeks of the season.
Yes, sir.
Lay the MVP out for us.
Yeah, this one's, was a pretty simple decision. It's obviously, to me, it was either Justin Jefferson or Sam Darnold. When you hear the next award, I think it makes more sense on why we took Jefferson. One, to me, Jefferson, best wide receiver in football. That alone speaks for itself. But 2, Sam Darnold's had a ton of success, but a huge part of that success has been Justin Jefferson and having a safety blanket like him to rely on and trust. So to me, Justin Jefferson, what he's been able to do off the field by how he handled his contract extension, how he's came in this year, he's really stepped into a leadership role. The team looks to him, really believes in him and follows him. I've just been so impressed, especially when you look around the league with the Jamar Chases, the CeeDee Lambs. Not only how he plays on the field, but how he composes himself off the field is what I think truly makes him the MVP of this team.
I agree with you. I couldn't be more impressed by the way he handles himself, all the eyes that are on him, all the endorsements, all the pressure. The guy's got everything, it seems, to the public eye, and he handles himself like a true professional, and he goes out and plays like it. Has a frustrating day, but guess what? He takes accountability after the game, says, offense wasn't good enough today, defense won us this game. Let's get back in the lab. Let's find a way to get better. Justin Jefferson is the MVP. Now to the Comeback Player of the Year award. It is Sam Darnold. Because of the expectation for Sam Darnold. I don't think a lot of people had much of an expectation for him. Maybe he was going to be a product of our roster and coaching staff, and, we were going to trip into the playoffs at 9-8 or something like that. But Sam Darnold has came out and silenced a majority of the media. Granted, his last 2 games haven't been spectacular. He's still got this team absolutely rolling, and it seems like the team has bought into him as well. Defensive Player of the Year, Andrew Van Ginkel. And it's not only because of the contract he's on, it's because of the plays he's making every single week. This guy, 2 pick sixes, like I said, he's setting NFL records. The guy is very instinctual on the line of scrimmage, and he is just a problem. He's like a shark at the line of scrimmage, just lurking, waiting to make a play. And how about the hands on Andrew Van Ginkel for a defensive line of scrimmage player, catching full speed slants and screens? This guy's able to haul him in. He's a special athlete, and we got him at a tremendous value.
Yeah, and flipping over to the offensive side of the ball. For Offensive Player of the Year, this could easily go to Sam Darnold or Justin Jefferson again. But someone who has joined this offense and has provided an instant impact has been Aaron Jones. My Offensive Player of the Year so far is Aaron Jones, and that's because of his ability to step in and really revitalize this run game. We've seen what it's looked like the past years before the Dalvin Cook, when Dalvin Cook departed. It has not been up to par. We finally have a rejuvenated run game, and Aaron Jones, you can just see the impact that he has. We saw it yesterday when he went down, how that offense looks. So, again, shout out to Aaron Jones, what he's been able to do in a short time here, and just is another guy similar to Jefferson who excels on the field but is just raved about for who he is off the field as well. So, to me, Aaron Jones has come in and really provided a leadership role and played at a high level. So, he is the Offensive Player of the Year through 5 weeks.
100%, and I think it speaks volumes for those of you that watch the Vikings field access and after the Packers game, the Packers personnel and players and coaching staff coming up to Aaron Jones and just seeing the gratitude and respect they have for him still. A lot of players leave organizations for rival teams. It's kind of a good riddance type deal. Aaron Jones is beloved everywhere he's been, and is still a big factor in the Green Bay community. The guy, I haven't heard one person say a negative thing about him, to be honest. So great to have him on and off the field. And Assistant Coach of the Year, the 5th award. You could go Brian Flores. There's a couple options. We chose Josh McCown. And I think the invaluable experience of Josh McCown, obviously an NFL journeyman as a backup, has played a ton of football. But just the way he communicates on the sideline, same thing. If you watch these field access from the Vikings on YouTube, see the way he's communicating with the quarterbacks, instilling confidence in the quarterbacks, I think is a huge thing. And as a guy who, carved out a career in this league, and it wasn't always easy for him, and he had a ton of adversity, and he's seen what the lows look like as a quarterback, to be able to provide that perspective and be able to get our quarterbacks in the right headspace, and a headspace where they can go out and play confident and fast and free. I think Josh McCown is a very underrated piece of this coaching staff.
Definitely. No discounting what he brings in terms of experience, and like you said, his connection playing with Darnold, playing in the league for so long. You've seen it in the field access videos. They do have a really great connection, and they trust one another, and I think that goes a long way. And, for assistant coaches, we've got a lot of good ones. I mean, we had to make it assistant coach, really. I know it was going to be hard to pick between Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores. Both of those guys are performing at a high level, so I wanted to get a little bit more intricate. Mm-hmm. And you still had a tough decision when you've got Josh McCown, Keenan McCardell, Mike Saravo, Grant Udinski. I mean, Durante Jones. There's a handful of position coaches that really could elevate themselves this offseason. So far, Josh McCown has come in here and really impressed us.
100%. All right, we're going to move into a little bit of bye week speculation, Matt. We got a couple questions. We're just going to see where the Vikings are at. Obviously, ecstatic about where we sit going into the bye. And if Kansas City loses tonight, we're the only undefeated team remaining in the league. So my first question is, we obviously looked at how pivotal Aaron Jones is to this running game. Hip injury, the initial reports are, we get him rehabbed through the bye week. He's going to be good to go out of the bye week. As you know and I know, lower body injuries in a running back, sounds like something that's going to probably linger and be a tolerance thing for Aaron Jones. So my question is, if Aaron Jones can't go and him being off the field changes the dynamic of our rushing attack this much, is there a need to add another running back? Because you look at the roster after that, Ty Chandler, Myles Gaskin, Xavier Scott, I believe, on the practice squad. Yep. So we don't have Dwayne McBride anymore. He's probably one of the top free agent backs if you had to look at the free agent backs right now. So my question is, do we need to entertain the idea of a trade? Jerick McKinnon's on the market, former Viking. Latavius Murray's on the market, former Viking. Would it be worth maybe bringing in one of these guys? And it just really makes you think about what fell through with Cam Akers. Probably something to do with him being the third string initially. More opportunity for him in Houston. But, man, if Aaron Jones is going to be out, it would sure be nice to have Cam Akers.
Well, I'm sure the fact that they found out that they could get Aaron Jones factored into that decision as well for Akers. I have a feeling, it just came down to playing time discrepancy in terms of what he wanted and what they were willing to promise him. I don't think we need to go out and get somebody. If we did off the free agent market, I want our guy Latavius Murray, but that's not saying a whole lot. I have little to no confidence in any of the guys out on the market. If they are going to go get someone, I want it. I would prefer it to be through trade. But again, I feel good about our running back room. Like I said, Ty had a rough game, but overall I feel really good about his skill set. Myles Gaskin is a solid third running back to have, has that receiving ability, veteran guy. So to me, as long as we don't get another injury in that running back room, we stick with these two. Aaron Jones should be back for the Lions
CJ
game.
Hammer time?
Hammer's a great fourth, option to have, whether that's a goal line carry or just straight up carries. I don't mind giving him the ball and mixing it up. So our overall depth in that realm, I'm not concerned. I don't think the guys that we could bring in from the free agent market are going to really increase that skill level. So to me, ride with what you got. If anything, it would be maybe addressing it via trade. But overall, I'm very happy with the running back room. Speaking of another trade that's been brought up, or at least some, I should say, smoke, it's the Dexter Lawrence trade interest. There's been a lot of speculation with this hot start on if the Vikings should spend 1 to 2 first-round picks to go get a guy like Dexter Lawrence, knowing that we kind of have this window in front of us. What is your take on that? Would you give up 1 to 2 first-round picks? Does it make sense? Does it not? Where do you stand in this whole Dexter Lawrence rumor situation?
Yeah, so a couple things. Dexter Lawrence, the player, what a problem. What a baller. This is one of the best interior defensive linemen in the entire league. He's got 6 sacks already this year as a defensive tackle. It's unheard of. He can dominate games. He can take over games. You saw it in the playoffs. Got to Kirk Cousins, and he was forced to check it down to TJ Hawkinson. Ended our season. He is a phenomenal player, but when you're looking at what you got to give up for Dexter Lawrence, and you're looking at what you got to pay Dexter Lawrence after you acquire him, and then you're also looking at Harrison Phillips playing the best football of his career in the middle of the Vikings defense. Do you want to take Harrison Phillips off the field? I don't know how much these guys are going to be able to play together. They're both kind of true nose guards. So it'd be a phenomenal rotation, don't get me wrong. But if you're looking at the future and what Dexter Lawrence is going to command from the open market, it would be an all-in right now for a Super Bowl this year type of trade. And when you're giving up 2 first-round picks for that, I'm not sure I would go for it because I don't feel confident about our ability to keep him around long-term. But I think it's smoke. I think it's just kind of has been brought to light by Vikings fans. I would be interested to see what our front office's actual interest is. But that being said, Dexter Lawrence is a fantastic player.
Yeah, I would agree. I think a lot of this has came to light due to fan speculation and the kind of the thought. I mean, it sounds great on paper, don't get me wrong. I would love Dexter Lawrence in a Vikings jersey. But what you had mentioned, what do you have to pay him? What is the position playing like right now? We're getting increased play at that position. To go give up 2 first-round picks, it's great to have Dexter Lawrence, but we're already low on draft picks. So to go give 2 of the best picks that you have left really kind of diminishes your flexibility over the next handful of years. And knowing Kwesi and how he kind of wants those in his back pocket, I don't expect a trade, and I think that it's just more of a lure of fans to kind of get excited about. Don't get me wrong, I think we may make a move or 2 at the deadline, but a guy of Dexter Lawrence's caliber not only is going to be hard to justify giving up the draft picks, it's not like the New York Giants are just going to hand him away for free either, right? He's one of their best players. They got a win yesterday. I'm sure they're going to try to make some noise in terms of at least staying competitive in the NFC East. That seems to be wide open. So to me, as easy as it sounds to go get a guy like that, you got to have both parties agree to it and for it to make sense. So I consider it more of a pipe dream. What isn't a pipe dream is TJ Hawkinson's impending return to the field. His practice window was activated last Friday, so it's rumored that he should be returning as potentially as soon as the Lions game. I think it's more realistic that he sees the field for the Rams and or Colts game the following weeks. But how exciting is it to be off to a 5-0 start, have the start that the offense has had, and the way they've been able to gel, and then you inject a guy like TJ Hawkinson. Man, it's just a scary sight to think about for opposing defenses, and I'm glad that we don't have to figure out how to stop it because we already had a lot of weapons, and now you add a guy of Hawkinson's nature. It's a scary thing for defenses to have to figure out and try to stop.
Yeah, you're right. It's going to be a blessing to see him back on the field. Love TJ Hawkinson. You know he's excited to make his return. I think you're right. A lot of people want to see him come out for the Detroit game, play against his former team, come out here, prove a point. Well, then you're looking at TJ Hawkinson playing 2 games in 4 days with a Thursday night game on the horizon. I don't think they want to do that. The plan to, ease him back into the lineup. You play on Thursday, then guess what? You get 10 days off after that. So I think that we're going to see him Thursday night in LA. That's my intuition right now. But, yeah, I think the biggest thing is can we keep everyone else on the field around him? So you get your guy back in TJ Hawkinson, and then everyone's looking at the full-strength offense, everyone on the field. Let's knock on wood, and let's just keep all these guys healthy because we want to see this through. And like you said, make opposing teams game plan for that 3-headed snake of Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, and TJ Hawkinson. And the best part about those 3 is all 3 of them are just different types of receivers, different types of route runners, and together makes it very, very difficult to stop. So excited to see TJ back.
Yeah.
I'm expecting, first game back, I could see him just getting quickly acclimated with, a 7 to 10 catch performance. I think Sam's going to realize real quick, wow, this guy is good at getting open, and this guy's got some of the strongest hands I've ever played with. So TJ Hawkinson, we're looking forward to your return.
Yeah, someone say this offense is going to get spooky. So
spooky coming up on Halloween.
With October being here, it makes sense. This offense definitely is playing at a high level, and I have no doubt that Hawkinson will raise that level as well. So shout out to him. We have hit the bye week. The Vikings are 5-0. There are not a lot of complaints to have in Minnesota and being a Vikings fan, which is not something that we can say all the time.
We're used to complaining. I'm used to having problems.
Exactly. I really don't know how to act, right? I mean, we've said this a couple times. It's an unfamiliar feeling, but one Vikings fans should really cherish and enjoy. This season has been one for the books already, and we're only 5 weeks in, so very excited to see how this team responds coming out of the bye against a division rival in Detroit at home at the Bank. I expect that place to be packed, rocking. We got to keep this train rolling. The vibes are high, and just keep the faith.
100% keep the train rolling. We just add one boxcar to it every week. Keep rolling. The Minnesota Vikings, this is a franchise where, to be blatantly honest, not much else matters but postseason success. So keep that in mind. Think of the regular season as the best opportunity to give ourselves the best situation and best path, best opponents to get to the ultimate goal and where we want to be. 5-0 feels great, but we are not even close to where we want to be yet. The best teams, when you start like this, they find a way to sustain it. How well can the Vikings sustain this success and keep a good product on the field all season long? Enjoy the bye week. Watch your other teams, lock in your other fantasy lineups, and get ready for the Vikings out of the bye to continue their dominance. This is episode 98 of the Vikes Verified podcast. Thank you for tuning in, and SKOL Vikings.
SKOL.
You're listening to the Vikes Verified podcast.